I would like to acknowledge all Indigenous and Torres Strait Islander peoples, past, present and emerging, as I am recording on Wurundjeri country. Thank you for joining us.
Marmalade and coffee black. Lesson plans are on the stack. Ready for the students' track. Gonna find our groove.
Hello everyone, and welcome to my first ever episode of Stranger in the Staff Room, where I, a first-time teacher, share lifelong stories. I would like to have more first-time teachers on in the future. Maybe it could be through forums that I share, and people sharing in their horror stories and their glory stories, and I'd love to share them on behalf of people, or even getting them in either anonymously or live and in the flesh, to do a couple of interviews around their first year into teaching, which is what I'm hoping to have this podcast be. So a little bit about who I am. My name is Zoe Zammit, or as the kids call me, Miss Zammit, which I don't think I'll ever get used to, but I love it. I just received my first contract for a first-time teaching gig, full-time at a regional independent school, which was my dream school to start my teaching career in. So I am wrapped in a half. Oh my gosh. I said to the HR manager that called me saying that I got the job, that if they heard someone screaming out the front of the school, no one was in danger. It was just me being a cheerleader for myself. So at least she got a giggle out of that. Anyway, I am currently at a Victorian University studying a Bachelor of Secondary Education, Bachelor of Humanities Arts. I am in my final year. I scored this full-time gig whilst on my placement, which I'm currently on. I'm on my GTPA placement. All of my Australian teachers, unfortunately, know what that means. Anyway, I'm not here to remind us about our homework. I'm here to share a hopefully safe space where we can all sort of get to know our triumphs and struggles as first year teachers. I guess what brought me here is my entertainment industry background. I am an actor, I'm a singer, I'm a screenwriter, hopefully adding songwriter to that list soon. I can't handle getting to know one thing. I've got to do everything all of the time, apparently. That's where I'm at. So I don't know about you guys. So yeah, I just thought I'd add podcasting to the list. Some reasons I got into podcasting, which at first, by the way, I thought was purely for finance bros. I was not having it with his miss me with that. We are actually going to have environments that are nice. NICE. You heard? Anyway, at first I thought that's what podcasting was all for an excuse to just get some clout, for lack of a better word, some attention, some fame, you name it, with no sort of real substance to it. Then I started listening to She's on the Money by Victoria Devine and Jessica Ricci and Beck Sayed. I love them. Oh my gosh. Anyone who knows She's on the Money, get this right. I commented on Victoria Devine's post and I said the way that I would fangirl over meeting VD than any other boy band answered within 10 minutes. She replied to me and I literally had to call my boyfriend and be like, she noticed me. And the fact that he knew who Victoria Devine was, I think, is a huge success because one, he actually gives a shit about what I have to say, and two, being financially literate is sexy. So VD, if you're listening to this, I am with you on that bandwagon. Anyway, I started listening to her. I started listening to The Subtle Art of Not Giving a podcast by Mark Manson because I loved his books. Oh, and I got into She's on the Money through Investing with She's on the Money, which is her book. So basically book nerd turned audio nerd. Yet to get into audiobooks though. Stick with me on that one. Ask me again in a year and hopefully I have like a premium plus super duper subscription to Audible and hopefully sponsored by them. And I also listen to We Mean Well for just a little bit of, I don't know, I guess it makes me feel better about myself. Oh, I love him. I love it. Anyway, I found the joy that just voice can bring, and since, I'm an actor and a singer, I already use my voice as it is, and I love being a teacher, even though I haven't even had a full-time teaching gig yet. I've just loved placement with my whole heart, and I think it's one of the best experiences I've ever had. I thought I'd just combine the two and start my own podcast. I'm hoping to use this podcast at least for the next 12 months, just to sort of be like a bit of a journal, talking about the highs and lows of the week, some things that I'm learning on the job, some things that I'm struggling with on the job, just so then all my first-time teachers or like my first 5-year teachers don't feel alone. That's my biggest thing as well. I am such a huge advocate for mental health, and I'm currently, no one's perfect. So I'm currently on a journey within myself to become more vulnerable and more trusting with people. So I feel like this is a really nice way to start feeling okay about how I feel, and being okay with not being the best, and being okay with, not being perfect straight away, and being okay and making mistakes, which I have struggled with in the past, which is probably why I'm a teacher, power freak, power hungry breakfast. Anyway, by the way, I am in my beautiful lamb pajamas, my woolly lamb pajamas, because I said to myself, yes, I will do a podcast, but until I am filming the visuals to it, I will be as comfy as possible. So I'm currently holding my microphone like a little teacup, sitting on my bed, and in my flannel pajamas. So join me, folks. Grab a cup of tea, grab some hot chockies, and yeah, let's get into it.
Through the highs and through the lows, we're the ones who always show, building worlds and making glow the dreams that they pursue.
Thank you so much for sticking around. Welcome back to Stranger in the Staff Room with myself, Zoe Zammit, or Miss Zammit for the kiddos. So I've just taken a moment to write down my placement triumphs and trioomphs. See what I did there? Please tell me you're laughing, because I had a little bit of a giggle. Anyway, so basically just had a quick reflection on my time at placement thus far, which I am in, I'm pretty sure, my 5th week out of 7 weeks on placement. Yeah, so it's a really big one. So basically with my university, you go on 4 placements, 3 of them are about 3 weeks, and then your last one is about 6 weeks. Because I have missed a few days of my placement, I had to extend it. So that is why we've gotten to the 7-week mark. So yeah, just did a bit of reflecting. I'm feeling right at home there. It's going to feel really strange when I leave. It's going to feel not right at all, but I've got the security of going back there next year, so I'm really, really grateful for that. Anyway, so I feel like I should start with the trioomphs, get a bit of the negatives out of the way so we can end on a bit of a high note. So yeah, for starters, yard duty can go and itself. Oh my God. I don't know whether it's just because I started placement in winter or because of the location of my school being sort of like on top of a hill, but oh my God, it's never cozy. Like I never feel comfortable. Like I feel like like a frozen chicken, like a salmonella-filled frozen chicken. No amount of coats is going to solve my problems, and I can't even like keep my eyes open from the wind, and you're expecting me to stop little kids from bumping into each other. Like it's absolutely not going to happen. Absolutely not going to happen. So yard duty is a big fat that. Not a huge fan of that. But if it means that I actually get outside at some point in the day, so be it. Secondly, students not doing their homework. So keep in mind, I don't like giving out homework. I really don't. I feel like kids, at least kids at the school that I'm at, because it's an independent school, I notice a lot more of the parents put more sort of emphasis on school, which means the kids subconsciously put a lot more emphasis on school. So that plus adding extra hours, I don't think is ideal. But this one student that I have been teaching, she was away for a whole week, and she missed some very key parts of what could help her with her assessment. And because she is not the strongest performing student, I really wanted her to have that background knowledge, so then at least she felt somewhat comfortable to be independent in working on the assessment when we get to it. Anyway, it was just a worksheet that I created that all the kids did in class. They used the PowerPoint presentation that we went through, and I got them to write notes on to help. And yeah, I got everyone's worksheet, so I just got her to do that. least I thought I did. These kids are smart. They're very smart. Don't ever underestimate a teenager is what I'm telling you. So I said to her to do it by, I think, for example, I saw her on one Friday and I told her to get it done by next Friday. She came in, she hadn't done it, but she was complaining that she didn't know what she was doing. And I was like, well, 1 and 1 isn't 3. But anyway, maybe you forgot. Again, I don't know these students very well. I've only been there for a month at that point. So I was like, okay, look, I need you to get your homework done. I need it done by Monday, next lesson. So they gave her the whole weekend to do it. Otherwise, I need to let home know, which I don't want to do. I don't want to be a snitch. Snitches get stitches. I don't want to do that. She sent an email to my mentor teacher saying that she didn't really understand the work, and I totally get it. I mean, I'm just a new face. I totally understand if she didn't want to come and see me face to face. So I just went up to her and I said, hey, saw your email. While all the other students are doing their warm-up task, come and see me. Which, side note, not sponsored or anything, but you know when you find like a product or a service and you're like, if I thought of that myself, I wouldn't have to work a day in my life, and you get really jealous about it. Yeah, that's me with Gimkit and Blookit. So if they want to sponsor me, that would be amazeballs. This is like Kahoot on crack. It's incredible. And I love it, especially because I struggle with linking activities, so concluding activities in my lesson. These do it so nicely and gives me space to actually think of other things to do if that, might get a bit repetitive and things. I don't have to think of something new every single lesson. It's incredible. Anyway, so while they were doing a Gimkit, I got her to come over. I explained all the concepts, which she answered really quickly. And I was shocked, and I was like, incredible. And she said, well, they go through this. She'll work on the worksheet. I said, perfect, bellissima, mwah, chef's kiss. They had to watch a film for their assessment. So we watched it the first time just for funsies, and then the second time with notes. So they were doing it with notes this time. So she had her laptop open and was doing it from there. At the end of that, I said, do you mind sending the worksheet to my mentor teacher? I named her. And she said, yeah, no worries. Still yet to receive that worksheet. The girl swindled me. She swindled me badly. But this is where I sort of struggle with. I explained to her when I was sitting down and, teaching her the concepts. The reason I gave you this homework is because if you can pinpoint these factors in the worksheet, you can definitely do it in the film. So with me, my philosophy with teaching involves a lot of kids understanding the why of what they're doing. I love kids getting to know the why of what they're doing, because then everything doesn't seem pointless. They actually have purpose in what they're doing. So I gave that, but that wasn't enough for this student. And I know it goes deeper than just me personally, but I don't know. Maybe because I was just a little nerd, I don't understand what it's like to not have school as a priority. And it's really difficult because this girl is in senior school. So I am under the belief that once they get to that 15, 16-year-old mark onwards, that it's their choice whether they want to put in effort into school. With students that I feel like could do a bit more, I do push, but I'm really struggling onto where I need to stop pushing. Like, for example, I feel like I need to stop pushing now because I've given her the resources to help, and I feel like she's choosing not to take them, but I could be wrong. So it is causing me a bit of anxiety, but again, I am trying to put my sort of personal life and professional life into a very strict boundary. Which brings me on to my next point. Even in my personal life, if something happens in my friend's life and they have a vent to me and, they're really going through a tough time, I really feel it. I take it home with me. I worry about them. I text them. I put it upon myself to almost fix the problem for them. And it is why I've been in therapy since I was 17. Say what? So it is something that I've struggled with in my personal life. I've gotten a lot better at it, but now it is time to do the same in my professional life. So that's going to be a bit of a struggle. An example of this was my mentor teacher teaches psychology and biology. I am psychology and English trained, so I am being hired as an English and psychology teacher as of 2025. So I observe the bio classes and I sort of jump in to help with practicals and things like that, but it is mainly my mentor teacher's doings. They were talking about blood, and this girl was sort of asking about blood clots and things like that, and I could see she was getting really worried. Now, my dad had a life-threatening heart attack when I was about 12 years old. He was 43, something like that. Yeah, so it was a really tough time. He had a quadruple bypass, almost died, kaput. Trigger warning, too late. I could see this girl was really stressed about it, and I had this gut feeling that something was happening at home. Once the bell went, she went straight to my mentor teacher, and I went up to her as well, and I found out that yes, something was happening at home. Her family member was having heart problems, and so we had to explain like my personal experience and my mentor teacher's experience with heart conditions and things like that, and the conversation really helped this student. But oh my God, did I take the baggage home. I took the baggage home like I was a bloody Qantas flight assistant. Oh my God. Like, I prepared myself for this moment and I still failed, is how I felt. But I'm really glad that I picked it up straight away, because then I just grabbed my journal out and I just wrote everything that happened and shut the book and put it away. And I felt like that really helped me. Like, yes, she was still on my mind, but it didn't feel like it had to circle my mind. I know journaling isn't for everyone, but me being an English teacher, it is definitely for me. And who knows, maybe for you, it is speaking it into a podcast, like myself, or it could just be talking it out with a friend, or, you know, you might even write it down on a piece of paper, rip it up, throw it in the bin. Who knows? There just needs to be a way for you to channel out that boundary crossing, if that makes sense. So yeah, I know I've got a long way to go with it, but I was really, really proud of myself for doing it in this moment. My final triumph is the limits of VCE. What I'm meaning by this is, you know, as an English teacher, or not even as an English teacher, as a teacher full stop, I got into the industry because a lot of my family members were considered to be students that fell through the cracks, and they wished that they got genuine care in their high school careers. So I really seem to notice those struggling in literacy and numeracy skills, and I've got a couple of kids in one of my classes that are in this position in year 12. The issue is that by year 11 and year 12, the VCE expects them to already have the writing skills. So my job is almost purely content, what I learned on this placement. And that's been really difficult for me, because I came into teaching to help kids no matter where they're at, and I went into high school teaching because those sort of skills are seen less in those kids, and not because they are less prevalent, but just because teachers stop looking, like how the VC is saying they should already know. Well, maybe they shouldn't. Well done, Zoe. Off VCARB on your very first education podcast. Anyway, you get my drift. We're going to have a couple of rants about the system in this podcast. Anyway, yeah, if someone could give me advice on, you know, how to help these students without making it an unfair advantage to their peers and to the rest of the state, like that's how big we're talking, that would be amazing. Alrighty, time for the triumphs. So, for starters, I got a goddamn job. Like, how I planned it was, this school that I'm placed at the moment, I was actually there for my first ever placement, and I loved it to bits. I loved my 2 placements afterwards, but it was purely location that made me say no to them. Okay, actually, I lie. Location was a reason that I said no to one of them. The other one, I didn't really agree with the teachers there, but we're not here to start drama. But I am saying it to let you know that if you don't agree with the climate of a school that you're placed in, that's okay. Every school's climate and environment is different. Like, you've just got a trial and error. That's all good. So yeah, I requested this to be my final placement as of this year. I requested it in February, and I didn't find out whether I got it until July. So if you want to request people, 1, doesn't hurt to ask. 2, get in quick. Another one is my amazing mentor teacher. I'm going to keep everyone sort of on this podcast anonymous that I talk about, just for their sanity and their confidentiality. But my mentor teacher is super duper awesome. Oh my goodness. Like, she is very easily going to be a close friend of mine when I start this job. And even my first mentor teacher, like I said, I had my first placement. I'm still in contact with her. I love her to death. Yeah, they're just incredible people that are there for me, and that makes me want to be there for them. So that makes the placement experience a lot easier. I have had a placement teacher that hasn't been as supportive, and it really does show. And if anyone listening has an experience where they feel like they're not good enough to teach in that, I'm not saying it's not your fault, but it might not be your fault. Just be holistic about it is my advice. You know, there's so many elements that go into being a teacher. I really just want you to consider all of them before you start blaming yourself. Some personal sort of teaching skills that I've collected from this placement is being able to think on the spot. Like, I don't think people realize that teaching is such an adaptable job, a job that needs so much adaptability. Like, people just see it as an office job, but oh my goodness, like, you'll have a whole lesson plan and then you get there and the kids are the complete opposite to how they acted the lesson before. So you've got to switch things up on the spot. You've got to be really creative and really spontaneous. And creative, yes, I am. Spontaneous, no, I'm not. So it's definitely something that I have worked on this placement, and I've gotten good feedback on it. So I'm really, really happy about that. And I guess that comes with empathy of getting to know the kids. So yeah, really, really happy that I've learned that. Also, I've always been positively complimented on my eagerness to engage with the kids and to form a professional relationship with them and build that rapport. I didn't realize how quick this effect was until I had one student who had some serious health issues. I genuinely thought I wasn't going to meet them until got a random email they were coming back to school. And honestly, that made me a little bit anxious because I knew how I would have approached that situation as Zoe, but Miss Zammit has to be a different person. You know, there's got to be that professional boundary of, you know, you can't just give them a cuddle and eat ice cream and watch 10 Things I Hate About You. Like, that's just not what teachers do with their students. Like, that's, you know, it's a completely different world. So I was really nervous about this, but, you know, I took the advice of my mentor teacher, you know, just be there to listen, but don't push it. And, you know, I just got talking to the kids, and then I started my class, and this girl raised her hand and she said, you know, did you want me to take notes on this? And I was stunned because I wasn't expecting any sort of engagement. You know, I wouldn't be engaged after what health situations this child has been through. And I was able to get them to engage, and I was so rapt. I was almost jumping up and down London Tipton style, yay me! But I kept it together, and I was rapt about that. That was incredible. The last triumph I want to talk about is parent-teacher interviews. Now, not just because of the absolute feed my school put on. Oh my God, we're talking like Jesus Christ Last Supper stuff. I was in heaven. So many cheesecakes. Oh, it was gorgeous. Anyway, I'm also talking about meeting the parents, and, you know, it's actually a really sweet experience. I am so grateful that parent-teacher interviews happened across my time on placement. I think it's a really good thing. I know it's intimidating even for student teachers to teach, and adding parents into it is a whole nother layer. But you might find it's actually a little bit easier. This is my psych teacher coming in. It helps to explain why some aspects of the child are the way that they are, and can also bring a little bit of peace into maybe, for example, some misbehavior or things like that. And I don't know, I just find a lot of comfort in that. So I found that really incredible to experience. Alrighty, I think I have talked your ears off enough for my first ever episode. But as much as I like to yap, I try my best to listen, and I like to listen and I love to learn. So if you could leave comments, leave reviews. I have an Instagram page. If you would like to follow that, I will put it in the show notes. But yeah, I am super excited to get on this journey and to be riding it alongside you guys. I hope that more first-time teachers have lifelong stories because of this podcast. Stranger in the Staff Room, over and out.
Teaching vibes were in the air, sharing knowledge everywhere, guiding young minds with such care. This is what we do.